Right, now I'm probably showing too much of my screen at the moment. If I make this bigger. Right, there we go. So hopefully this is going to work a lot better. So apologies for the delay. Now, okay, so what I was saying, if I go into TV Boss and if I go to the left side here to Files, you will find this document here, TV Boss Essential Series. If you open that, you'll find the links to the videos in here. These are just the YouTube videos. So that's one place you can find them. Another place is in the members area. So go to c-point.com/dashboard and log in. And then if I scroll down to the bottom here and access TV Boss, and then it's this second one here that says Essentials. So here you have the videos in here as well. Now, the important thing I think about these is I deliberately did these in the order that I pretty well figured you should do things. So you start off with these 5 things here. I'll just get it up to there, that's it. See, so you want things like your Roku device, your TV Boss software, your Vimeo Pro. Unfortunately, because of this is YouTube, it puts this over the top. So, you know, go through these in this order. Images, that's another thing you want. That's for the branding of your channel. And then if I just go on, you're not supposed to see this. This is all my handiwork for the new software. So let's try and just get on to, I think, this bit. And then I'll play this, okay. All right, so there's 19 videos here.
Hello and welcome. My name is Jonathan.
Okay, now at least I can show you. So web hosting, you know, possibly with a domain, but certainly you're going to want something for your images at the moment, though potentially that changes with TV Boss Fire. And I say images for the branding. So those are the 3 places that you can find these videos. And say it looks to me from some of the questions in the group that people really just aren't you know, watching these, and really you're just making things harder for yourself by not watching these, because these do go through everything step by step, and if you follow this it'll be easier to follow and you'll minimize your sort of learning curve really. So and you can see those that have watched these, or at least some of these, look at the feedback. I think they're useful is the general feeling. So that really covers about where you can find the videos. So what I think I'd like to do now, I'll try and see if I can. There's lots of things in here, mostly saying loud and clear and yes and all that type of thing. But let me open this up for some questions. So if you have anything you want to ask, do that now, please. This is your opportunity. You know, if there's anything you want me to go over, then now is your chance. So I'm going to look at the end of the questions, really, and then I can just go over anything you want. I mean, I could pick a few random things out, but I think it'll be overall more useful if you ask any questions. I mean, there are still at least over 30 people here, so someone must have some questions. So do post any questions now that you have. I think while I'm waiting for something to come in, I'll see what else I can. Oh, I know what I'll do. I'll just show you this actually. Right, so I'll put this link in the chat. Now, this is a very useful link because, you know, one of the things we want to get is the data rate of our video. So what this enables me to do, I'll have to probably make this slightly smaller if I can. Okay, I'll do it this way, I think. Okay, so if I go into somewhere here, oh yeah, okay, I can do it this way, I think, actually. Right, okay, so I've got a video here, for instance, and if I just drag that up to here and now release it, it's not going to upload that video, it's just going to really access the header information. And can you see almost immediately it gives me a lot of information. So it tells me the duration of the video, it tells me the data rate, not that we specifically need it for Roku or TV Boss. It also tells me the frame rate, and importantly, it tells me the size. Now, when you're using the bit rate, don't use this one, which is just for the video. I always use the overall, so that includes the audio and the video. And all of this other information you don't really need to be concerned with. But at least that's a quick and easy way of doing it, really. I appreciate you have to have it downloaded onto your computer first anyway, but at least you'll get that information really quick. and then be able to input that inside of the software. And presumably you know how to do that. I mean, this is the actual JSON feed file, but if I can try and do this, manage, and just log in. There we go. So that would go like down here. Can't obviously see the whole of the URL. And then don't forget to select your quality, your HD, your FHD, which is full HD, or Ultra HD, which is the 4K. Generally, these are going to be MP4, and then you're going to put your bit rate, and your duration goes up here. If you want to try and order your videos, then I've found that it's the release date that it works on. So those are both the same day. So the safest way, if I wanted that one to show first, would be like show it for the 17th of May. I mean, these are obviously old dates, I think, from the original. And then just go down here and save it. And then if I look through here, yeah, see, look, 17th of May. Oh, now I know what I will cover, actually. I'll just see if there's any questions been put in. Oh, that's going to be in here. Let's have a look. Right, okay. Sorry if it's too small, because it's really big on here, but yes, I can go back into my window here and make it full screen again. Hopefully that makes it easier for you to see. But I say I did put that link in anyway, so you can just try that in your own browser, and then just as I did, find a video and drag and drop it onto this area here. Or you can just choose the file, but it's easier, I think, just to drag and drop it, and then this comes up almost immediately, and there's only probably 4 or 5 bits of information really that you want from that. Now the other thing I was going to show you, let's see, okay, so I'll have to log in. It's important for you to back up your JSON file, because then if disaster strikes, at least you can go back into your TV Boss and put it back. So let me just log in here. And I just do all. That's what I want there. Right, so this is where all my channels are installed, in these folders in here. So the simple way to back up just the feed, JSON feed file, is just go in here, single click on that, and this of course I'm logged into cPanel if you hadn't already worked that out, and just click on compress, do zip archive and compress. Okay, so that's one way. And if I reload this, we'll now have a zip file in here, so you could download that. You could name it like with a date and time perhaps, because I wouldn't just have one of these, I would keep a series of them. So that's one way. Another way is to even open it. You can either open it inside the TV Boss, you get it displayed at the bottom, and copy that, or I can use edit in here, and then I just want to copy all of this. This is not a particularly long one. Some of mine are much longer, because like I've got, say, 50 videos, and this one's only, I think, got about 6 or 8 perhaps. Right, so I've copied that. So now if I make this window, I think, a bit smaller. Now, if I was using a PC, which often I do, then I would use Notepad++, but this is a Mac, so I've got text editor instead. So let's do a new one. I'm going to make this full screen, because otherwise you probably won't see it. And I can just paste that in there. So as I'm on a Mac, it'll be Command V. On a PC, it'll be Control V. So see, that gives me my JSON file with all my links and my thumbnails and durations and data rates and everything else. So if I was then just to save that, so I'll do save, and I'll call this, I think what I'll do is I'll put the date on the front, so I'll do 2019. I'll do the month, which is 03, the day of the month 04, and then I'll just put, I'm trying to think which one this is. Okay, TV Boss Essentials, so TVBE would probably be enough, and then I can just put this as feed JSON, and I'm going to change this to put it in my downloads. I use both actually. So that would now have that saved. So if you do that like with a date starting with the year, because then when you go to sort it, when it's in a list, you'll get them actually in the order that you want. Whereas if you try and do it like day or month, and then month or day, and then year, it won't sort it right, but at least that way round it will. All right, let me see now if there's any other questions. Yeah, and this is on an iMac 27-inch, so that's probably why you're saying the screen is tiny. Well, it's not tiny for me, but I'll bear that in mind. But I just had to jump on this one, and really what I should have done was recorded or shared just a smaller window. Right, so let's just see. ETA for the file release is the 21st of March. No, you can't view the training videos for the new software yet, because they're still under development. There's still some changes being made. I don't know whether your question has been answered, Kevin DiCarlo, I should say. You can't find what I was saying. Well, hopefully you can find those training videos. If not, just send me a PM. I don't know what Craig's announcement is. He hasn't told me. Okay, so when TV Boss Fire is launched, then you don't need to run both. The main advantage with the new one is you don't necessarily have to host your images. You can still host your images if you want to, and I cover that in the training, but equally you can choose just to pick the image file from your computer, for example, a thumbnail, and then submit a button that will upload it, and it will then give it a link, but that link will already be inside the TV Boss Fire platform. So the new version is hosted by TV Boss. It's what we commonly now call a SaaS, software as a service. So you have nothing to download. The other advantage potentially that has, and I wouldn't try using it on a smartphone particularly, because still the screens are too small. It doesn't have the same processing power, albeit most of the processing power that's needed is in the platform. But it does mean you can be on a Mac. I know you can access the TV Boss software on the web, but you have to have some hosting. And so again, you don't necessarily need hosting, other than if you want to, host your images. So, but the other advantage of the TV Boss Fire is the option of also having a Fire TV channel on Amazon. So, that's without you having to have two lots of videos, for instance. Yeah. So it just uses that same set of videos that you have on Vimeo or elsewhere, but Vimeo is generally the preferred and recommended option. And then it will create both channels. In fact, what it does, it creates the JSON feed URL, and it creates another feed URL, which is different to Roku, that Fire TV uses. I'm not exactly sure of Charles' questions. Right, where does the preview channel appear in Roku? Streaming channels and then search other. No, okay, well, if it's an unpublished or a non-certified channel, then you add it with code. So let's quickly just cover that. See, this is my Amazon Creator. So this is where I've got a Roku channel now on Fire TV as well, or under development. So let's log into Roku. Okay, sign in. And log into this account. And then go move this out of the way. Alright, go into developers. Go into dashboard. Go into manage my channels. And let me just choose this one, which at the moment really I'm just using for demonstration purposes. So if I copy this link, then before this is published, so whilst this is still an uncertified channel, then you can log into your Roku account, not the developer part that we're in now, more the sort of front end. So I think if I go, try and remember how to, oh yeah, get back to it, I think through here or through the My Channel. So there's a couple of ways to do it. I can simply go up here and paste in that URL. And then it's going to give me this warning, this is not a certified channel, and like, do I want to add it? Okay. I'm going to cancel it because I've already got it added anyway. But that, if I clicked on the yes, add channel, that would add it. Or the other way is, go into my account. And can you see here under manage account, add a channel with a code. So I can't paste that whole URL in, so I would probably have to memorize what it is, or just paste it, say, in here, and then just take that bit off. Treble to ZVGK, and then I can just put that in there, and this will work in a similar way to the other screen I showed you. But I'm going to do cancel rather than add. The important thing you have to do after that is go into your Roku device. So you get a screen, don't you, something like this, okay? If you then scroll down here to settings, and then you need to scroll to system, and then you're looking for the one that says system update. And then that will make sure that this channel gets added to your Roku device. If you've only very recently added it, then you might as well, go back into, you might need to refresh the status. So go to developer, dashboard, manage channel, go into here, preview and update, and then you would go into feed status. And you can see I've been working on this today. So I've got 21 items in this particular channel. So I could just do a refresh on there. Sometimes this would take a while to update. It tells you to come back in a few minutes. But often I've found if I now just refresh that page, then the whole page will refresh. But see, if you look in here, that's updated at 10:35, which is like less than a minute ago. So it would be after that, but again, I would leave it at least a few minutes before you update it on your Roku device. That way, this channel should appear on your Roku device so that you can preview it. Until it's published, searching will not help you one bit. Yes, normally, you're right, Charles, you would go into streaming channels and then you could choose search and you could start typing out the letters and it should eventually appear in the list. But that only works once the channel is published. All right. Are you no longer going to use Roku? Well, yeah, I am going to use Roku. The same as my suggestion to a lot of you anyway is multi-purpose your content or repurpose your content. So don't just use Roku. Don't just use Fire TV. Think about selling things on Vimeo, because your pro account allows you to do that, and still consider about using YouTube, albeit you may or may not want to be selective on what you add to YouTube. But the thing is, see, if you're giving valuable content and someone comes across, for example, they come across it on Vimeo and you want $10 or $20 or something, depending what's involved, and they've already seen some of it and think it's valuable, then I'm sure a lot of those would quite happily pay the money. So, have a wider view of your strategy in terms of how you're going to market your content. Especially, see, when you're using direct publishing, so that was an answer to someone else's question earlier. Yes, you're going to use direct publishing and not the SDK. Direct publishing, you don't really need to be a coder to publish your channel. Okay, you can't directly have a paid channel using direct publishing. But then a lot of people are going to hopefully make their money, so to speak, by other ways, possibly getting their channel sponsored, running ads on it and other different things. And there's a number of things that, again, is covered in the members area about monetization. So there isn't just ads, or there isn't just, if you had a SDK channel, the fact you could maybe make it a subscription, but the problem with that would be how much would it cost you to be able to make it a channel that you can then charge, like a monthly or a yearly or, even a one-time subscription. So where does the unpublished channel appear on the Roku box on the TV? Exactly in the same place. I mean, unfortunately, I can't show you inside of my, Roku device on my TV, but I've got something like 32 channels on there. About 20 of those, I think, are the ones that Roku add automatically. I've got a few published channels, some of which are my own, a few are other people's. But mainly I've got my own, probably about 8 of them, I think, at the moment, channels which are really almost like just demo. Like I have this one, which at the moment is nothing to do with old radio shows, but see what I found I can do, and I might even create a new one and just call it, test channel or something like that, is if I go into here so that I get this menu back, or these options back. So if I want to test this out, I can, in effect, do that, or largely do that, just by updating this URL. I might have to adjust the categories a bit, but essentially for testing purposes, I can just keep changing this out. And as long as I update it on my Roku device, I mean, that's what I did this afternoon. I actually tried 4 different channels in this one channel just by updating the URL here to a different JSON feed. So that's not a bad idea in terms you can test it out just in one place, and then after that you can say, okay, yeah, I'm happy with the way that works. Now I'll create or populate it in the rest of my channel. Right, reproduce, run in hand. Let's not answer this right. I'm going to post this meeting. I had to be, yeah, I'm sure there'll be a replay. Fingers crossed with GoToWebinar. The only problem I think might be the first half, which wasn't much use anyway, may not have recorded. But this part I think should be fine on this computer. It's not easy to run your own ads. There's rules you've got to comply with as well. Search in the group if you don't know what I'm talking about, but I suspect Steve Baker, who's asking the question, knows exactly what I'm talking about. But if you don't, search in the group for 15-minute rule and 7-minute rule. Briefly, 15-minute rule is before you can show any ads on your channel, your viewers have to have watched at least 15 minutes. That doesn't mean they have to watch 15 minutes in one go. They could watch 5 minutes yesterday, 8 minutes in the morning, and then say 3 minutes, which then makes 16 in the afternoon. After that, providing the video is 7 minutes or longer, hence the 7-minute rule, then that video is eligible for ads to be shown. And these ads are always shown before the video starts. But search in the group and I'm sure you'll find more information about that. Okay, reproduce television shows that already aired on network affiliates on Roku here in the States. How do Roku insert commercials into the shows if we decide to monetize? Right, so Roku used that formula that I've just described, and so let's say someone has watched more than 15 minutes and you are now going to show, or someone selected to watch a 29-minute video. So if you divide 7 minutes into 29, you get 4 and a little bit left over. So what would happen, assuming there are ads available, because there's not all the ad slots are full, then Roku would show up to 4 adverts before that video started to play. And then if someone goes and watches another video, we'll say this time it's 15 minutes, then there will be 2 ads shown subject to those slots having been sold. And so that is how you get your revenue. It's based on how many thousands of ads you show, but you can imagine that's why the longer videos, potentially, providing people select those to watch, are going to earn you more revenue. And it doesn't matter if they don't watch all the way through. It just goes, right, how long is this video? How many ads should I show? But I think the big problem is, not all the adverts are sold. And even if you use Barron's Media, which is one of our sort of recognized partners for advertising, because they tend to pay better rates than what Roku do. And they will actually give you some stats on your ads as well. Whereas Roku is very hard to get that information from. So, just sort of bear that in mind. But that's why I say it's not easy to run your own ads. Particularly if you're going to comply with the rules that Roku, lay down. So you're better off choosing either Roku, but generally I would say, particularly if you can get some good reviews for your channel, is choose Barron's Media perhaps, because they have a very wide range of advertisers and they have a better chance probably of filling your advertising slots. This time of the year is pretty lean when it comes to advertising. As Jim mentioned, I think it was last week or the last webinar, it's probably not last week. But as the year goes through, it builds up. And so what you find is by the time you get into December, probably 75% of their advertising slots for all the channels that they are advertising on may well be full. But have a look at his, the webinar replay, because it gives you some good tips in there of, what are the good channels, what are the bad channels in terms of, revenue. For instance, news channels, they actually command the highest CPM. So that's like the number of times the ad is shown. That's 1,000. So it's cents per 1,000. Yeah. So it might be like, for a news one, it could be up to maybe $30 for 1,000 views. Whereas other things, it could be as low as $10. It all varies. And then you'll get a percentage of that, which may be about 50-50. It obviously could be higher. That's something, that you maybe negotiate a bit with Barron's Media, but it will depend on how. Right, can personal ad be embedded as part of your video? No, in a simple word. CD for sale? No, avoid that like the plague, because if you put that in, chances are you will not get your channel approved. There's been lots of discussion about that in the group, and it's something really that is a no-no. The same as what you don't want to do is you can mention a website, but not in terms of, oh, go here to buy something or go here to get access to this. Just put the website, like www dot, I don't know, johnstv.com. But then on that website, do not take them directly to a landing page, because trust me, Roku will test some of these things out. And as soon as they see you doing that, they're going to go, nah, not going to approve this one. If it's a general page, an information page, and it happens to have something on there that says, get more information or, get such and such, then that you'll probably still get away with. But not if you advertise it directly in there. They definitely won't stand for that, I would say. That's certainly what I've heard, and that's borne out even in the last few days of someone who was asking a similar question, and I answered it, and someone else answered it, said, yeah, I tried that, and I had to remove them all. So, no, don't waste your time with it. Be a little more almost discreet. Bearing in mind, if you were watching TV, would you want to see just loads and loads of people trying to flog you things, sell you things? I would say no, you won't. You look at the average, TV ad, and it's not overly pushy on selling you something, really. It's telling you, like, find out more, ring this number or go here or something like that. But it's not what I call a real overt, almost spammy sale. And yes, if you do use Barron's Media, Charles, yes, they will take up some of your revenue, or potentially take up, I think you have to agree to them having up to 30%, albeit they rarely take that amount, to put ads on. But if they do that, they will obviously pay you, a revenue from those, albeit they don't probably have the best a reputation in terms of giving you, statistics and, paying you promptly every month or every 3 months or whatever. And so the ad agency that Stephen was asking for again is called Barron's. I think it's BARONS Media, MEDIA.com. But if you find that other video in the group, or they're in the members area as well, under either monetization, I think, with Barron's Media, or the sort of Bootcamp and other resources, you'll find it in there. Right, let's see. I saw a channel where you could enter email with Roku Remote. Well, yeah, you might have done, but I bet that wasn't a direct publisher channel, would be my guess. That had to be especially programmed to be able to enable you to do that. I'd like to know the channel if you can find it, and then I can check it out and tell you. So I would say generally no, you can't. You can't do that, certainly with direct publishing, because there is no input, other than, start, stop, fast forward, rewind, go back, all those sort of things, whatever the keys are on the remote. There isn't an option to add in. And what you got to remember, I mean, I'm not exactly sure this is right, but I can't tell you one way or the other. But I know there was someone in the group who's saying, oh yeah, I can build you a SDK channel, and I only charge you 10,000. And I went, yeah, but that's not what we're going to charge someone in the group, is it? That's like a retail price, isn't it? And they were quite adamant, or so it seemed, that they wanted to charge $10,000 even to someone in the group. So, and then someone else said, oh, well, I found someone that'll do one for me for 3,000. But it's still a lot of money, a lot of investment. And you don't necessarily know that you're going to get it back. But yes, there are people who have SDK channels because they're actually running a shopping channel, and they're probably doing, I don't know, $1 million a month or something. But then how much did it cost them to develop that channel? An awful lot of money. I don't know. It could well have cost them $1 million. Well, we're not millionaires, or at least not yet. So, right, can we put our own TV shows on there where the commercial breaks already fill with advertisements? No, in a word, because that probably isn't going to comply with Roku's rules. And see, they're not going to know whether there's other adverts going to be shown, aren't they? Because if you put to monetize the channel, then they would be sending adverts as well. I know with TV Boss Fire, they're working on something that may enable you to add an advert during like a commercial break, but not already in the video. It will be a separate video that gets called at, say, you can set one to say go at 7 minutes. But what you might want to do is look to see whether that is an appropriate gap to show an advert. Because you know how frustrating it is when you're watching the TV and they're deliberately marked where they're going to have their ads, and then suddenly you get an ad. Well, if it's not at the right time, then I don't think that's going to be a good move. So that's the idea of this system that they're going to try and incorporate into TV Boss Fire, certainly for Roku. Amazon and Fire TV is a totally different story because they're about to change their sort of ads protocol totally, or have largely already done it, I think. So that's a wait and see what happens there. But yes, potentially there may be an option to include ads in your videos, but simply because it knows after, 7 minutes and 29 seconds, play this ad. And then play another ad at, 15 minutes and 3 seconds. Or, play an ad at the end. Okay, this video is, 29 minutes and 41 seconds long. So at that point, play an ad. But you'll have to wait and see on that. You can't do it on the current version, or not with a lot of work. And indeed, what I'm talking about anyway would be on a per video basis. So you would have to program that in to your TV Boss Fire. There's a section for it to be filled in, but I'm not sure that it's operational yet, where a video would then be played. And that's a separate video, not embedded or included in the one that you've created. So let's see if there's any other questions. I think that's probably about it. But I'll just give anyone a last chance to ask anything else before we go, because we have been going, I think, over an hour on this version, shall we call it, because I apologize, but the first one was a bit of a disaster. So last chance really to ask anything else, and if not, and there's anything else you want to ask, then you can always ask in the group, or if it's more appropriate for a support ticket, then put it in there. And hopefully the support will begin to improve, because as Craig pointed out last week, I think he wasn't really particularly happy with the way support was going, and so he's in the process of replacing staff in there, and bringing in other people as well to sort of help. So if there's no more questions, then thanks very much for joining. I hope despite the hiccups at the start, you still found this useful. And I look forward to seeing you in the group and speaking to you all again soon. So thanks, and bye for now.